In a future destroyed Gotham City, can a brand new Batman, Catwoman, and Nightwing save the day? We're about to find out, because this is Future State right here at the Comicstorian channel, where we take some of your favorite trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you. All alterations of the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Future State is a special 2-month event in which DC Comics told you various alternate futures. If they're popular, they're going to come back later. If they're not, don't worry, Infinite Frontier, the new DC initiative, is going to be starting up in March. But today we're going to be bringing you The Next Batman number 4, the Batgirls backup to that, Nightwing issue 2, and Catwoman issue 2. First up, Future State The Next Batman number 4. When we last left off, the new Batman was trying to find his way through Gotham, and as he saved a family who was just trying to get revenge for their child, the man grabbed the new Batman, strangling him, basically telling his wife that if they killed Batman, well, maybe they'll get a more lenient sentence. The man pulls tighter, strangling Batman with his wife yelling for him to stop, but the man just pulls tighter and Batman knows that they are scared and trying to survive. But that doesn't mean they get to kill the Batman. He lashes out with his wrist blades on his gauntlet, stabbing the man in the leg. He loosens his grip as he cries in pain, and Batman whirls, kicking him in the chest. Eric struggles to his feet, pulling up a rusted piece of rebar. "Put it down!" Batman growls, with the wife asking him to drop the weapon as well. Finally, the piece drops to the ground, and Batman looks up at both of them, growling. "You don't care about justice, you're just trying to get away with murder." And Eric shakes his head, motioning to his wife. "I'm trying to help Sarah get away," he tells the Dark Knight, explaining that killing Jahovsky was his idea. He looks at her, explaining that he was the one who actually killed the man. "It's not true. I wanted him dead, and there's nothing I wouldn't do for my family," she says. "Just to be clear, I don't care what you did or who did it. You're both going in. You come at me again, and I will dump you at the feet of the Peacekeepers," Batman tells them both. They both nod, asking the plan. But there is no plan. Batman smashes through the window of an SUV, hot-wiring it. They need to keep ahead of the Peacekeepers and make a run to City Hall. 32 blocks from here, 3 miles. He tells them, handing them each a grenade, telling them to only use it if the Peacekeepers get past him. "You trust me with this?" Eric asks him, and Batman stares for a moment. "No, but I trust you'll protect Sarah," he says finally. They start moving, the SUV swerving around all of the Gotham traffic. It doesn't take long for the Peacekeepers to show up. "Peacekeepers!" Sarah shouts in the backseat as 3 motorcycles pull up behind them on the road. They immediately open fire, rounds chewing through the soft metal of the car. Batman hits the brake, slowing the vehicle with a screech, allowing one of the bikes to plow into the back of them. He swerves, but the other bikes are on them in a matter of seconds. More gunfire ripping through the SUV's windows. Batman hands the woman a few discs, ordering her to throw them at the bikes. She tosses them out the window, allowing the magnetized weapons to bounce and attach to the Peacekeepers and motorcycles. The electric grenades go off, tearing the bikes apart, throwing the riders to the concrete. Eric and Sarah look at the sky, but none of the Peacekeeper drones are in sight, and Batman nods, knowing that the Peacekeepers want to take them in person. "If we're fighting people, I have to hold back." Eric looks at him in surprise, reminding the Dark Knight that the Peacekeepers are trying to kill them. "You don't tell me how it's done. Not you." Batman growls at him, but the argument is interrupted as 2 magistrate armored cars pull up behind them. They ram into the back of the vehicle, shooting more rounds into the side of it. Batman tries to swerve to avoid them, but the vehicle is damaged, losing speed. "We're not gonna make it, are we?" Eric says as he looks at the Peacekeepers following them. 13 more blocks. "No. We're not going to make it," Batman tells him, and the man turns around, reminding Batman that it was him who killed the man, not Sarah. He opens the door, and he throws himself onto the road. He bounces off the concrete, rolling as the Peacekeepers get close. "I love you, Sarah! I love you always," Eric whispers as he pulls out the grenade that Batman gave him. The explosive detonates, destroying the 2 armored cars as they pull closer, and Batman looks back at the road, swerving out of the way of a woman in front of them. They scrape against the other cars, finally coming to a stop, and Batman and Sarah get out, prepared to run the rest of the way. "What the hell?" Tanya Fox whispers as she watches Batman from her car. She gets out. Everything that she is trying to do is being ruined by this new Batman, and she pulls her gun, ordering him to stop. Jace pushes Sarah behind him, staring at his approaching mother. He has no choice. She doesn't know who he is, and he needs to stop her. He throws the battering, hitting his own mother in the shoulder. "Just wounded. She'll be okay." he tells Sarah, and a voice yells from behind them as the Peacekeeper captain steps from the wreckage, a knife in his hand. "You don't care a thing about innocent people, and you wonder why people want you dead?" The captain snaps. The fight lasted only a few seconds. The captain was good, but Batman, he's better. He blocked every blow, whirling and striking the captain with his feet and fists. He twisted the blade, stabbing it into the man's shoulder. And as that captain falls, Batman continues to bring his fist down on him again and again and again. Blood splatters on the ground until finally Sarah stops him. "Enough for one night. Leave him." They keep running, finally arriving at the city hall. And they appear from the shadows, startling the waiting detectives. "I got your suspect," Batman growls at them. "Thought you said that there were two of them," one notes, and Batman tells him, "The other one didn't make it. And I ask that you look into Lou Jaheski in connection to the little girl's murder." "I didn't think that you'd survive the night," Detective Chubbs notes as her partner leads Sarah away. "Are you surprised or disappointed?" Batman asks, and Chubbs looks at him, asking if his armor is bulletproof. Before he can answer, the cop pulls her pistol, shooting Batman in the chest. She walks over, staring at this Batman as he struggles to stand. "Sorry. By the laws, when Montoya asked, I did my job. In the future, take it easy with my phone number," she tells him. Batman nods as he rubs his chest. Later, Jace heads to the hospital to check on his mother, and as usual, Luke is on his case, noting that Tim either looks like he's on drugs or is drunk. But Lucius tells his oldest son to stop, ordering Jace to go in and see his mother. Tim sits next to his mother, who tells him that Batman tried to kill her. Batman is good at what he does. Maybe he was just trying to, Jace begins, but his mother shakes her head, telling him that Batman is dangerous and must be stopped, but Jace shakes his head. He tells his mother that she just needs to worry about getting better. "Let's worry about being a family," he tells her as he takes her hand. Next up is the backup in the back of this next Batman. It's the Batgirls storyline, and when we last left off, Cassandra and Stephanie were both in prison trying to find the location of Barbara Gordon. Cassandra makes her way through the halls, smiling as she hacks the security door with her subdermal implant. In the main hall, the riot has been going on for 2 minutes. "Knock them out! Don't take them out! We need them breathing if we hope to get out of here," Stephanie Brown reminds the collection of supervillains that she is fighting alongside. They continue their battle, but suddenly all of the prisoners' wrist guards activate and they fall to the ground in pain. "Not your smartest move, Blondie!" The captain of the guard laughs as he enters the room. "Hurry up!" Stephanie gasps over the radio to Cassandra. Batgirl moves quickly through the prison, knocking out a guard and taking his armor. She rounds the corner to find another guard in front of a door. "Captain wants you in the mess," she tells him. "All right, coming," he nervously says as he runs off, and in the mess hall, Stephanie hisses to Cassandra that she's on her own right before the captain kicks her in the chin. But Cassandra comes over the radio. "Not yet, Batgirl," she tells her friend, and suddenly all the wrist locks fall off the prisoners. Stephanie smiles as she and the others stand up, no longer held down by this. "Looks like the animals got loose, Captain," she says as she cracks her knuckles. The prisoners and the guards launch themselves once more into combat. "Hope you're close to being clear, Cass. I don't know how much more we've got left," Stephanie shouts over the radio, and inside of the control room, Cass finds what she is looking for, moving off into the shadows. She hacks her way through another door, looking down at who she finds, shock filling her eyes. "It's you, Barbara. What did they do to you?" She gasps as she sees Barbara is strapped to the table with tubes and wires sticking out of her. She rips Barbara free, trying to tell the woman that they don't have time until the system reboots. "You found me," Barbara gasps as she leans in to hug Cassandra, and Batgirl picks her up, carrying Barbara out as she explains that the magistrate links her into their connection, trying to pull all of the information that she had. She had some control, though, enough to send the message to the Resistance. "I know they're hiding something big. I need access to a computer," Barbara whispers, and Cassandra nods, getting on the comms to Stephanie. She asks if she can hold the guards off a little bit longer, but she isn't getting an answer. She looks at Barbara. "This might be our only chance of getting out," Cass reminds her, and Barbara shakes her head, reminding Cass that people are never a means to an end. Cass pulls out an orb, activating it and appearing in her Batgirl uniform. They turn, seeing a group of guards heading towards them. Cass is amongst them in seconds, kicking and flipping her way through them with lightning speed, and she looks back to see two of the guards attacking Barbara. She finds strength beating them down. Once a Batgirl, always a Batgirl. The two women smile, and they head back into the central control room with Cass radioing to Nightwing as Barbara goes to work on the magistrate systems. "Nightwing, I have her. It wasn't him. I found Oracle," Cassandra tells their leader. Then there's a pause before Nightwing orders Cassandra to bring Barbara home. Suddenly, the redhead gasps. "I think I found Batman, or At least a bread trail to him, she says, and Cass nods, explaining to Nightwing that they have a complication with the others in the prison. Spoiler knew the risks. You have your mission, please. Bring Oracle home. Nightwing tells her again. Enough talking about me like I'm not here tonight, Nightwing, Barbara says into the comms, and she reminds Nightwing that they never leave anyone behind. Meanwhile, over in the mess hall, Spoiler and Poison Ivy fall to their feet. Why didn't you go with her? Ivy asks. Never abandon your people. I'm not one of them anymore, but old habits die hard. Been a pleasure fighting by your side, Stephanie tells her. And as the captain steps forward, an alarm begins to sound in the prison, and he looks up in fear, demanding to know what is happening. Stephanie smiles. What did I say? We never leave our people behind, she tells him. Suddenly, all the screens go black and a display of an image of Oracle's head appears. The drones hover nearby, projecting an image of the Oracle on every surface, and throughout the city, everyone's phones and screens also show the Oracle image. And she tells the people of Gotham, both the magistrate and the civilians alike, that the masks have failed them. But she tells them that there is still hope. We are the resistance. Join our cause. As long as we live, there is always hope. We know what we have to do now. We have to fight for what is right, the words echoing throughout the city. Inside of the prison, the resistance has arrived. Nightwing, Batwoman, Talia al Ghul, and Robin join the battle. The prisoners are freed soon, and the guards rounded up and imprisoned. And later at base 2 of the resistance, Barbara looks up at Dick, reminding him that his hovering is making her tired. She thanks him for finding her, and the two embrace, and they kiss. They have much to do, but it can wait a few more minutes. Outside, Cassandra finds Stephanie, and Spoiler asks what is to happen to all of the villains in the prison. But Cassandra tells her that there are no more heroes, there are no more villains, only the resistance. I know this doesn't make things square, but thanks for giving me a chance when you didn't have a reason to, Stephanie tells her. And Cass apologizes for not trusting Stephanie more. I believe in you, Stephanie Brown, Batgirl. I hope you give me a chance to heal what's been damaged. The two embrace on the wall, looking down at the resistance below them. To new beginnings, and to keeping the faith. Meanwhile, over in Future State Nightwing, we left off with the new Batman and Nightwing teaming up to battle against the Peacekeeper who just invaded their fortress. Outside, the news reporter turns to Peacekeeper 06, interviewing her before the Peacekeepers begin their assault on the secret fortress of Nightwing. How do your brave troops plan on taking down such a dangerous criminal? The reporter asks. With the only method that works for his kind, without mercy, she nods at the camera. Inside the ruins of Arkham, Nightwing and the new Batman stare at the screens. This isn't being broadcast right now, the new Batman notes, and Nightwing nods, explaining that later it'll be presented as live. Nothing like having your own fascist TV network to get the propaganda out there. Batman nods, and Nightwing continues to work on the computer, telling Batman that if the Peacekeepers can break in here, their victory will be totaled. Let's start the culling, Nightwing says as he hits a button. The EMP pulse works out of the center of Arkham, hitting the Peacekeeper forces hard, their vehicles all shutting down and all of the drones shorting out and hitting the ground. What was that? The reporter shouts as he kicks his useless camera drone. An EMP blast. The Peacekeeper tells him. Inside, Nightwing moves to his weapons locker as he explains the EMP to Batman, telling the new hero that the blackout will give them enough time to slip away. But Batman grabs Nightwing as he's gearing up. Are you trying to protect me? I chose this life, he snaps. But Nightwing shakes his head and he explains that his plan's risk versus reward ratio is tight. If I don't live to see another day, Gotham should at least have one of us. It needs Batman, Nightwing tells him. But Batman shakes his head, reminding Dick that Batman is the one who decides who needs help. Right now, that's you, Batman explains, and Nightwing stares at him for a moment as he finishes gearing up. Well, dynamic duo it is then. The first group of soldiers make their way into the ruins of Arkham, but the duo descend from the ceiling. The two are amongst them in seconds, disarming and knocking the soldiers out before they have time to react. Not bad. There's room for improvement. Always. Nightwing grabs one of the soldiers, demanding to know what his orders were. Shoot to kill, under any circumstances. The soldier stammers, but Nightwing smiles slightly at the soldier's words. Batman looks at Nightwing, questioning the unnecessary questions. I have my reasons, Nightwing tells him. And suddenly a gunshot fills the room, with Nightwing pushing Batman out of the path of a bullet. The two leap back into action, attacking the second squad as they break through the doors. And outside, a soldier reports the loss of 2 squads to Peacekeeper 06. Takes online in the back? She asks, and the soldier nods, and 06 orders him to fire at the building. But our soldiers are still inside. He begins to argue, but 06 leans in, telling him, nothing trumps taking out the masked scum. The tanks open fire, destroying the building, and it all begins to burn. The great inferno raising up into the night sky. Doesn't that look beautiful? 06 notes with a smile, unaware that the nearby invisible drones are behind her. The soldiers report that the cybers are back online, and 06 begins to order them to head inside to collect bodies. But suddenly she is slashed across the cheek by a batarang. Please don't, Oracle tells her, and 06 sees the masked members of the Resistance standing before her. The heroes leaping into the fight, attacking the group of soldiers. Inside of his base, Nightwing pulls himself out of the rubble, looking up at one of his working screens, and sees the heroes fighting against the soldiers. No! What are they doing? He snaps, and Batman pulls himself free, telling Nightwing, I called the others. That was not your decision to make! Nightwing snaps at him, but Batman looks at him, reminding him that the city needs Batman just as much as it needs the other heroes, like Nightwing. We're leaving now. Dick pauses for a moment. Help me up, he finally says, and outside the battle is continuing, until finally Oracle turns to her comrades. The rescue mission is almost over, people. The growly bat-esque voice in my ear tells me it's time to move out, but 06 stands in her way, telling Oracle that she is going to fillet her skin from her bones and make a coat. Barbara just smiles at her, reminding her that trying to kill the leader of the Resistance is a great motivator. Do you mind if he joins us? Barbara asks, and the sound of a revving engine fills the night air as a secret door opens up from the ground. Now, I'm more of a motorbike person, but he's dying to show you his new car, Oracle tells her, and the muscle car flies out of the secret garage, slamming into several cybers and knocking them to the ground. As the car screeches away, 06 begins to curse, turning and realizing that the other members of the Resistance have also vanished. The reporter begins to shout at her, demanding to know what he should show the people. And 06's hand snaps out, grabbing the man by the throat, snapping his neck with one quick motion. She turns to one of the soldiers, demanding him to get her a car that is running. Meanwhile, Batman and Nightwing are speeding through the streets of Gotham, screeching around the corners with Batman apologizing for calling in the Resistance. If they lost their leader, after already losing, he begins, but Nightwing finishes the sentence. It would have been bad. You did the right thing. But the car is then T-bowed, sending it rolling into a construction site. Nightwing groans as he pulls himself out of the wreckage. Be still, my mechanical beating heart. Look at the killer pair that I've drawn. I had no idea that you were working together. This almost makes up for the rest of the night. 06 calls out as she heads down the hill into the construction site. As they prepare themselves, Nightwing offers Batman one last piece of advice. Watch her arms. They punch really hard. He shouts. 06 rushing them. She lashes out, denting the car with her robotic punches. But as Batman leaps away, she snags him by the foot, throwing him to the ground. She goes in to punch Batman in the face, but Nightwing throws his escrima stick, shocking her. Nightwing knows who she is. He knows that her identity was erased by the Peacekeepers. He knows that her parents were murdered in front of her by the Joker. I know what it's like to see your family destroyed, to lose the people that love you most. We're not the villains you want us to be, Elizabeth. You're all scum! Scum that needs to be cleansed from our lives! Just like we did with Batman. She shouts at him, rushing at him, but Nightwing connects with his electric escrima sticks. He dodges her blow, shocking her spine as he twirls through the air. 06 grunts in pain, but twirls and brings her elbow into Nightwing's face. But Batman is there, knocking her away, slamming her into a pile of debris, which falls, trapping her. She looks up at the heroes, weakened by the electrical attacks. Going to take my life now? Vengeance for your bat that I helped kill? Do it. I'll just be replaced tomorrow. The magistrate will win! She gasps one last time, but Nightwing shakes his head. He's not going to take her life. He's going to take the magistrate's reputation. He reveals his crew as cloaked drones. Drones that have filmed everything that happened tonight. Every terrible thing that you and your soldiers have said or done, and everything that you've lost. Raw, unedited, unspinnable. Failure, he tells her. And he and the new Batman turn to leave. I'll send you an invitation to the premiere, he calls out over his shoulder. The two heroes pull themselves out of the construction site, looking at the dawn that has begun to stream over the horizon. Look at that. Morning. Another day. Nightwing says as he throws an arm around his new partner. Future State, Catwoman number 2. When we last left off, Catwoman was breaking into a train to find out what they were hauling around, only to discover it was Bruce Wayne. Let's pick up where we left off with Catwoman number 2. Catwoman gets over the comms asking if Cheshire has arrived at her location yet. There's a long pause as no one answers. Then Cheshire comes over with a grunt. Ugh. Give me a second. Little busy, she hisses as she wraps around a guard's neck. She kicks out, knocking another guard before finishing off the first one. As she breathes heavily, she gets back on the radio. I'm here, she puffs. She tells Selina that the place is crawling with guards and she's trying to keep their big surprise a secret. She moves through the facility, placing the last of her charges. Back at their base, Leo reminds Selina that once the charges go off, she'll have about 30 minutes before the magistrate can reroute power back to the rail. She'll be in the longest tunnel inside of Gotham, so she'll have no eyes on her. There's no response, and Leo keeps calling her name. I'm here, she finally gasps, leaning up against the wall. Unconscious guards all around her, blood dripping from several wounds in her body. She's taking a breather before I head out the front coaches, she tells him. 18 seconds later, the charges go off and the train loses power. The guards are all confused in the front of the train, while the children continue to work their way to the back. But at the center, Selina has slumped over on her side. Her breathing is shallow as she begins to slip into the darkness. She stands over the casket of Bruce Wayne, looking down at the man that she loved. She begins to cry. She doesn't know if she can do this. She doesn't have the people. I'm no hero, she whispers, but a voice calls out to her and she looks over her shoulder. Batman is standing there, a looming figure in the dark. Bruce Wayne is dead. I'm all that's left, Batman growls, reaching out for her, telling her that she needs to wake up, that there is nothing in the dark but Batman. Now stand up, he snarls at her, opening his mouth again. Slap, he says. Selina opens her eyes. Slap! Slap! Onomatopoeia says as he rears back to hit her again, but Selina snatches his wrist. Touch me again and I'll tear your arm off, she snaps at him. The villain leans back, holding up his hand, pointing to the gas that is leaking into the car. Outside, the guard captain checks his readings, nodding as the men continue to pump the sedative into the car. Give it a few minutes and then go pick them up once they've hit the floor, he orders the soldiers. However, in the control center in the front of the train, the technicians look up to see the black cloak in the doorway. Bruce Wayne rushes in, sweeping through the guards before they can even get their weapons up. Okay, we're on a short window here, Bruce. No time for your idealism. Talia reminds the man as she moves to a computer and reminds him that the resistance is waiting for them on the other side of the tunnel. I don't care who's waiting or how long we've got, Talia. No killing! Bruce reminds her sharply as he knocks down the last of the guards. Thought there'd be more guards, Bruce notes, and Talia nods as she checks the computers, telling him that the rest of the guards are dealing with a disturbance in the back of the train. Bruce checks one of the screens, shocked to see a wounded Catwoman trapped in the car. Inside that car, Selina gets on the line with Leo, ordering the techie to overload the magnets in her suit to short-circuit the door. That's brilliant, but it's likely to do just as much damage to your hand, he warns her. Do it. It's what he would have done, Selina tells her friend. Boom, Onomatopoeia whispers, and the doors explode outward, scattering the soldiers on the other side. And as they stagger to their feet, they shout a curse as Catwoman comes flying through the door. She whirls amongst them, attacking with her whip, kicking the soldiers away. And she slashes another in the face, making her way to the captain of the train. But one of the soldiers cracks her in the back of the head with a pistol, knocking her down. The others kick her, finally pinning her down. You really should recognize when you're beaten, Selina. The captain smiles at her, and he looks down, telling her that it would have been better for her to stay in the car and just slipped quietly to sleep. He pulls out a pistol, putting it against her forehead. Any last words? And Selina looks behind her, her eyes widening, and she looks up at the captain. Yeah, Batman lives, she snaps, and Bruce cracks the captain in the back of the head, dropping him to the ground. And in moments, the rest of the guards are defeated. Selina looks back at Bruce in shock. Looks like bats have more than one life too, he tells her with a smile, and she slaps him in the face before finally moving in for that kiss. You're hurt. Well, you're dead. Talia looks out the door, reminding him that they need to get off the train. You really ought to rethink your +1 if you're going to crash my party, Selina tells him. You're not doing so great yourself, Bruce notes as he motions to Onomatopoeia. Bruce quickly fills Selina in on what happened, but Talia once again tells them that they need to get off the train. Selina nods, telling Bruce about the kids in the rear of the train and how she needs to decouple it. He helps her get to the rear of the train, telling her that there's an emergency decoupler. You're not coming with me, are you? She asks, and Bruce shakes his head. They're all gonna come after me, Cat. If I come with you, you'll be running the whole time. This way. They'll think I engineered the escape. I'll make sure of that. No one's going to miss 2 coaches when Batman blows up a train. The trains begin to separate. When it's done, Bat, how do I find you? And Bruce smiles at her as he drifts away. Just steal something important, Cat. The children cheer as they drift away. They manage to steal the train, getting everyone to safety. Left alone, Onomatopoeia slips into the darkness. The rest of the train is destroyed with the captain of the guard chained to the wreckage. And next to him, graffiti has been left for everyone to see. Batman lives. And there you have it. Now, I did state a few episodes ago that the timeline doesn't seem to be matching up, but it actually does seem to be coming together in the end. The problem is these are all coming out at the same time, which is probably my biggest complaint about what's going on here in the DC future state. I really feel like this was intended to be 5G, and this was intended to come out appropriately in order so that we wouldn't be lost. But you know what this means? This means when it's all done, I can make one heck of a great full story telling you the proper order that all of this happens in. Now, let's go over real quick where we're at. It turns out that in this Gotham situation, the magistrate took over and, quotation mark, killed Bruce Wayne. Then the Resistance built itself up after they captured Batgirl. They've all come together with the new Batman running off doing his own thing, Nightwing leading the Resistance, freeing Oracle, who's now teamed up with Nightwing, and Catwoman went on to just do her own thing but discovered Bruce Wayne was there. This, of course, would lead perfectly into the Dark Detective storylines, which should be wrapping up next week. So overall, yeah, it all kind of works out. I hope you guys are enjoying Future State. I honestly am. I really think this is a great storyline, the Magistrate one. It does feel like a light version of Batman No Man's Land, but you know what? That's one of my favorite storylines, so maybe that's why I'm digging this one. Either way, guys, thank you so much for your continued support. Don't forget to go on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Comicstorian, and join up with our mini producer tier, where you too can go ahead and vote on what is coming out next. As of the time of this video, they're currently voting on doing Batman Inc., Scarlet Witch, or something Winter Soldier related. So hop on over there, sign up for the proper tier, and get in on that vote over on the Patreon and our Discord. Either way, guys, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching these videos, and I will see you next time right here at the Comicstorian channel.